Hey, hello, fellow saxophonists. I hope that all is well today. This is Mr. Jeff, and today we're going to be looking at the Region 29 audition music, the slow unison etude. Now, there's another recording that I did of this that I did at performance tempo. And I played it at 112, and really I talked a little bit about some helps on there, and reminders, but mostly I did a performance of that, and I hope that you'll be able to listen to that, and that'll be able to help you. In this recording, we're going to kind of take it apart a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about what 6/8 means, and we're going to look specifically at certain passages here so that it can help you as you're practicing and preparing them and putting them together. Remember is that when we're just looking at these things for the very first time, we want to keep it at a nice slow tempo. We want to practice slow, and then we will build up that tempo. But when we practice slow, we'll make sure that we do it correctly. It's also going to help us with our tone and our sound. We have to remember is that we sit up straight and have good posture as we're playing. Make sure that we're filling those lungs up with air so that we can push a lot of air out, because this is one of those pieces that, because it is a slow unison etude, and the tempo is such that it really wants us to play with that beautiful tone, okay? One of the things I discussed in the previous video is that when we looked at this, we see that at the tempo, it says moderato, an eighth note equals a metronome marking of 104 to 112. What that really is telling us is that the eighth note now gets the beat. The eighth note gets the pulse. So if that's the case, and if eighth notes get one beat, that means quarter notes get two beats, right? 16th notes get a half a beat. So everything has changed in the timing. So 6 beats in a measure. The eighth note gets the pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Da dee da dee da da. Okay. If you do have a question about anything in this, is that please contact me. I will be more than happy to send you another piece of music that I actually have the beats and everything written underneath it, if you think that will help you. But I do encourage you to practice along with the recordings and do play these, and hopefully that it will help you, okay? So as we just look into the first couple of measures there, we have a pickup note B going into the very first measure, so we would come in on beat 6, so we would have 5 beats of silence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, that eighth note is a whole beat rest. Okay, a whole beat rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. 6 is a beat rest. I want to look at something here in measure 3. As you see, is between beats 3 and 4, between that high C and that high B, there's a really small note there. And it's a C note. And what it's telling us is that means that that's a grace note. Grace notes come right before the beat, okay? So that measure, it's going to sound, I'll play it without the grace note. Okay, so, but with the grace note, it's going to sound like this. Did you hear how that went? Remember, you're going to have to re-articulate that C, the second C. 1, 2, and 3, da, da, da. okay? And you'll see in letter A, which is measure 9, it has another grace note. Do you see that in measure 9? Okay, so that's how that grace note works. Those are the only two places that those grace notes are. One other thing I want you to look at as far as the counting, let's jump down to measure 12. There you see that you have a dotted eighth note followed by several sixteenths. So the counting on that is going to be this: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5. Did you see that at measure 12? 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, you get that? Does that make sense to you? If it doesn't, please make sure that you ask one of your band directors, or please let me know. Let's look down at letter B. Letter B, measure 17 and 18, and then 19 leading into 20. We have some ties, right? You see where in measure 17 to 18, there's an A that's tied together. Remember, they're the same notes, so that marking would be a tie, not a slur, okay? So make sure that that's going to get 2 counts, right? There's 2 eighth notes, so you'll have to give them 2 counts. Let me play at letter B for you. I'll take the pickup. Continue on and watch how I play those tied together. Make sure that you play them for 2 counts. And you'll see that it's coming up in the next measures as well. So those are a couple of things to be aware of as you're practicing this etude. Make sure that you practice it slow. Make sure that you get it, that you get the beats and all the rhythms, and then pick up the tempo, and you'll be just fine. The other thing I mentioned, I think in the other video is that when it says slow, and we're playing it the way we are, it's sounding like the beats are kind of fast. Well, that's what happens when you have music like this, where you are having the eighth note get the beat, so everything else is doubled as far as in the values of the notes. So it still sounds slow, but the beat kind of sounds fast. Okay, if you think about that, and after you play it a few times, I think that you'll understand what that is. The last thing I want to just talk about just for a minute, because I'm going to do a separate video on this, is vibrato. You probably heard that when on the sustained notes, the notes that I'm holding out long, I'm kind of it sounds like I'm kind of wavering the tone a little bit. So that's another what we call ornamentation that we can do as saxophone players that really kind of makes the music just move along, and it makes it warms it up, so to speak, as we're playing. It sounds just so much more mature and better when we do that. It's almost kind of like a singer when they sing and they kind of wave in their on a sustained note. It's something that just really makes the saxophone even sound even better. Okay, so let me explain. And we're only going to do this on sustained notes. So just listen in the beginning one more time. 1, 2, 3. Do you see how much better that sounds and how really pretty it sounds? So, um, um, so we're going to talk about that in a separate video, because this video is long enough, because we were making sure that we had all those other things taken care of. But just one more thing before we go. This is another one that, as we are playing the music, is that make sure you follow the dynamics. When you heard me play the other etude of the piece completely, hopefully that you heard all of the crescendos and the decrescendos. And when you are sending in your recording for the Regent band, that's one of the things the judges will listen for. They'll listen for if you're if you're doing the dynamics, and if you're doing what the if you're playing the different dynamic levels of the pieces, that they'll be looking at that. So you definitely want to take attention to that. And if you are taking private lessons with me, we will definitely be something that we focus on. So I hope you have a great day, and enjoy your practicing, and I'll look forward to talking to you at another time. Okay, bye-bye.